This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, good morning, welcome to our viewers on Torah Anytime. I want to dedicate the shir for Ben Zion, Ben Dosai and his family should see Siyata Dishmaya and everything they do in Mitzvah Hashem. Refuah Shleima to Shimon Ben Feiga. Mitzvah Hashem Esoch Sh'ar Choylei Yisrael. Parashas Korach with a lot of minyanim, especially emphasis on machloikes. We don't want machloikes, so we'll try to stay away from it and talk about the negative effect and what it really means. Chazal always try to look for smichus. What's the connection between this parasha and the previous parasha? Parasha Shlach Lecha is followed right by Korach. What's the connection between Shlach Lecha and Korach? Perhaps. In Shlach Lecha, we learn about the end of the parasha, using and misusing the eyes. There's Aseh Tov and Sumera. The Sumera is Lo Yisasu Acharei Leva. Don't stray after your eyes. The Aseh Tov is U'eisim V'soi. Use those eyes. See the tzitzis, you'll see HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You'll see 613 tzitzis. So you have the Sumera, you have the Sumera Tov, you have Aseh Tov. What's the beginning of this parasha? What was the downfall of Korach? Rashi brings some Chazal. Eino hitato. His eye misled him. He saw Shmuel Navi coming out of me, one of my descendants, so obviously I'm right. He was wrong. Moshe haya roye. Moshe saw correctly into the future. So it's the connection between the eyes, beginning of last parasha, the eyes in this parasha. So as if the Torah says, listen, this is what I want you to do. Last week's parasha is a directive. This is how you should use the eyes. This is how you shouldn't use it. Oh, you want an example? What happens to a person who doesn't really listen and misuses his eyes? His name is Korach. So that's the connection between Shlach Lecha and Korach. You don't use your eyes the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you'll meet Korach. So 250 people join Korach. And who are they? We would think it's people who are homeless, probably out of a job, trying to look for something, bums. 250, and the Torah gives a description of who they are. Nesiya Yeda, Kriyei Moyed, Anshei Shem. The Gemara darshans this description of these people. Sanhedrin Daf Kuf Yud, and the Gemara says, you know what Nesiya Yeda means? Meyuchadim Sheba'am, distinguished, Chashuva people. You know what Kriyei Moyed means? They know how to make a leap year. They know when to add another month, when to add another year. These are serious people. Anshei Shem, that they became well known all over the world. These people have chashivus, everybody knows it. These are top people. Says the Eifa Shleima, the Shlomo Bravita Zatzal, from this story, you have an unbelievable chizuk to emunah. In all other man-made religions, because they're all man-made other than ours. A story like this, what a disgrace. Busha v'chilpa. 250, the most important people in the nation want to oust the leader. It's terrible. What do you do with this? You sweep it under the rug. Nobody wants to hear such a thing. It's terrible. You hide it. When you have what to hide, you hide. HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have what to hide, so he writes it in his Torah. Not only does he write it in the Torah because he says, I created man. I gave him Yetzer Tov, I gave him Yetzer Hara. And sometimes people make the wrong choice. Not only that, he says to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I want you to come to shul once a year, I want you to read about this. 250, the most important people in my nation, Nesim. Yeah, but they made mistakes, I want you to read about this. Because when you have what to hide, you hide it. In any other religion, they would not speak about this disgrace. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu has nothing to hide. So he makes sure it's in the Torah, so we should learn from it, because you have nothing to hide, you don't hide it. And I think that's a tremendous chizuk to the emunah. So what was really Korach's claim? Rashi explains, he was jealous that Elitzaphan became a Nasi. And he says to Moshe, why did you choose him? There are 4 brothers. Amram, that's your father's Moshe. Amram. Right after that is my father, Yitzhar. Then comes Chevron, and then comes Uziel. The guy you chose, his name is Elitzaphan, he's the son of Uziel, the youngest of the 4 brothers. That's wrong. Amram is the Bechor, is the firstborn, fine. So I understand why you, Moshe, you're a king. Aaron, your brother, Kohen Gadol, no problem. But now you have to appoint a Nasi, so you should go to me. I'm Yitzhal's son, that's right after Amram. Why are you skipping over me? And you're going all the way to my youngest nephew? To Uziel's son? That's wrong. So obviously, everything Korach does is L'Shem Shemaim. It's L'Shem Shemaim. But Korach, I just want to ask you a question. I'm just remembering, a Chumash ago, Parshas Shmini, Perek Yud, in Sefer Vayikra, Pasuk Dalet, there was already a time that Elitzaphan was called for a mission and you were for some reason silent. Vayikra Moshe el Mishael ve'el Elitzaphan. Moshe called Elitzaphan. I have an unbelievable mission for you. Elitzaphan says, what do you want me to do? I want you guys to go inside and take out the bodies of Nadav and Avihu. For some reason, Korach, you didn't say, well, wait a second. How come you're going to my youngest nephew? Why are you going to Elitzaphan? What about me? I love mitzvahs. I want to do mitzvahs. I want to be involved. No, for some reason you remain silent. Very strange. I guess taking out bodies is not so exciting. Maybe it's not such an important position. No, it's obviously Shem Shemaim. But you know what would happen, dear Korach, if you did jump over there and say, oh, I'd like to do it as well. You would become Tamim. And then maybe you would have that Pasha of Pesach Sheni and the Torah mentioned in your name. Lama Nigah, those people who were Tamim couldn't bring the Pesach, what did they say? Oh, what about us? We want to be involved in Pesach. But you didn't. Korach, what a missed opportunity. You could have a Pasha in your name. Oh, you already have. Yeah, but what Pasha did you get? You got a Pasha called Korach, which means anytime a person wants to say, you want to be a Rasha, like, they mention Korach. So everybody gets his own Pasha. What do you choose? Because b'derech she'adam roitze leilech makos daf yud ba molichin oiso. In the way you want to choose to walk, you get assistance. So again, second, I'm guessing maybe the L'Shem Shemaim that we said before, maybe it's not so L'Shem Shemaim. Maybe it's more a pure taiva for fame, fortune, respect, and honor. And we made it. That's why the Pasha is called Pashas Korach. But what was his claim? Ki kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim uvesoicham. And what's inside the Eidah? What's inside the congregation? Hashem. Which means sometimes you rebuke a person. Hey, you're not doing everything. Listen, inside, I'm a good Yid. My heart is pure. I'm a good Yid. In other words, I'm a cardiac Jew. It's very good to be a cardiac Jew. Kodesh Baruch Hu besoicham Hashem. Kodesh Baruch Hu is inside me, right? But you also need the chitzonius. You also need the actual actions. What does that mean? What did Korach claim? One of his claims: a house full of Sfarim obviously doesn't need a mezuzah. A mezuzah is to bring kedusha into the place. The place is saturated with kedusha. The inside is full of kedusha. Why do you need a mezuzah? So there was once a rabbi who came to visit a person in his congregation, and he sees this gorgeous mezuzah on the door. Mamish gorgeous. He says, "Wow, it's fantastic. It's beautiful. When was the last time you checked it?" The guy looks at the mezuzah. It's fine. It's 100% fine. He says, "I'm not talking about the case. I'm talking about what's inside. You know, the paper inside, the parchment inside." He says, "No, they're going to tell me how to hang something on my doorpost. As soon as I got the manual, I threw it out. I put the mezuzah on." Which means you're right. You need B'soicham Hashem. I'm a good Yid. You also need the chitzonius. You need the pimius, and together they are the winning combination. Bnei Korach lo yimesu. That's a pasuk in Parshas Pinchas. Is that so that Bnei Korach lo yimesu? They didn't die? In our parsha it clearly says, what Bnei Korach were the instigators. Rashi brings in our parsha that they are the ones who said to Korach, Korach, Tati, Daddy, Abba, don't know what language you spoke. Look, it's not right. And they pushed Korach to do what he did. So here in Parshas Pinchas the passage says, Bnei Korach lo yimesu. But in our parsha it says, Kol ha'adam asher leKorach. Everybody that was associated with Korach. So he said, Bnei Korach lo yimesu, they didn't die. Rabbi Yosef Bechor shows, one of Baalei Tosfos, it says, Chol ha'adam asher leKorach, that refers to his avadim. That refers to the people associated with him, but not his sons. His sons, as Chazal say, were meharer b'tshuva, and they didn't die. But the Balei Musa take this pasuk to a totally different direction. The sons of Korach didn't die, which means his spiritual descendants, the ones that live every single generation, even in our time. And they look for machloikes, because they're the ones who push Korach into the machloikes. The sons of Korach, people who act in that way, unfortunately, loy mesu, unfortunately they didn't die, they live here with us. They live every single generation, and they push people to machloikes, and those are the people you have to run away from. So Korach looks for a lot of honor for himself. How exactly does he do this? By sheker. Korach is mentioned 11 times in our Pasha, always b'ksiv chaser, missing. Kuf, reish, ches, because he's not a real deal. He is missing. He's missing a lot. But there's an acronym to his name that suggests what he was really after. And that is, Kuf is kina, jealousy. Because he was jealous of Moshe now. Reish is roimemus, because he was running after leaderships. He wants to be the top. Ches, Korach, is chemda, and that's the taiva that he had for something which is not for him. So in Pirkei Avos we learn about these three. Kina, taiva, vekavod, and Chazal say, motziim es ha'adam min ha'olam. Can take a person out of this world. A person who's a Yerei Shamayim, he only has one thing, he's a Yerei Shamayim. A person who has taiva, kina, vekavod, look at this, remarkable. Taiva, kina, kavod, gimatria, all three together, 600. 600 is sheker. Shin kuf reish, that's sheker 600. Yerei Shamayim, 601. With the Yiras Shamayim, you can override. And Moide ala emes is 601 as well. Which means sheker is 600. Moide ala emes, 601. And that is a person who is Yerei Shamayim. Chazal say about machloikis. Kol machloikis, which is l'shem Shamayim, it will last. Soifa liskayim. Kol machloikis, which is not l'shem Shamayim, is not going to last, is going to nullify. And Chazal bring an example. What is that a machloikis which is not l'shem Shamayim? That's machloikis Korach and his congregation when they go and argue with Moshe Rabbeinu. The good machloikis, which is going to last, is the machloikis of Shammai and Hillel. But how do you know to identify when you're in the midst of machloikis? I'm doing l'shem Shamayim. Rabbi Yonasan Eibshitz in Yahweh's Dvash writes, every time you're at a machloikis, Yetzer Hara will convince you, this is l'shem Shamayim. Chas v'shalom to stop. Not allowed to stop. If I'm stopping, I'm doing a disservice to Kodesh Baruch Hu. I should fight him all out. And maybe sometimes it really is so. How do you know? How can you put your fingers and now I'm doing a mitzvah, now I'm doing a big avera? Says the B'nai Nefshitz. If you're arguing with a person, whatever machlokes that is, but in all other areas, you love the person, that's the Shem Shamayim. But if a machlokes causes you to fight him all out, even on things not related to the machlokes, that's not l'shem Shamayim. What's the proof to that? Shammai and Hillel. Big machlokes. Some of the machlokes were involved in matters that will qualify certain people to be called mamzerim. Yes, the Gemara in Yevamos Daf Yud Gimel Amud Beis says that Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai got married to each other. How is it possible? What I hold is kosher, you hold is a mamzer, or the reverse. Because they had a machlok, conceptual machlokes. They were both in a pursuit. What is Dvar Elokim? What is the Kodesh Baruch Hu wants? What is emes? So when I asked you about this specific girl, this specific boy, and you said to me, I believed you because you're not going to lie to me, you hold differently. So if I hold differently about that specific person, I'm not going to marry to him. But you say something else about someone else that in my book it works, I can trust you. That means the machlok is Shem Shamayim. Because we're both in pursuit of emes. It's elu va'elu divrei Elokim chaim, and machlokes like that will last. But when you go out against the person himself, not against his opinions, against the person, Memele says the B'nai Eibshitz, that's a machlokes which is not l'shem Shamayim. The Maharal in Ruach Chaim, in his Perush and Pirkei Avos explains what does it mean, soifa liskayem ve'en soifa liskayem. A machlokes which is not l'shem Shamayim, you're going against the person to destroy him, not his opinion. You want to destroy him, whether it started because of opinion or a different reason. But you want to nullify him, that machlokes is going to be nullified. But a machlokes that you just are both in pursuit of What does the Kodesh Baruch Hu want? That's L'Shem Shamayim. L'Shem Shamayim. So it would last. Like L'Shem Shamayim, lasts forever. Last week I wanted to go on a little trip to find the entrances to Gehenna. It's looking all over. Can anyone help me? Do you know where the entrance to... And I just want to see what it looks like. I don't want to go in. Just want to see.
By the old city there?
By the old city? Gay Benino. You know the exact address? The exact address, do you know?
Google Maps.
What's that? Google Maps.
It's on a story that someone, I remember which rabbi, the end, heard Korach from the pit.
Babasa, Daf Ayin Hey. He heard him. Could you give me the exact address? Then that wasn't in Gay Benino. Where's the entrance? How many entrances to Gehenna?
I guess one is more than enough.
One is more than enough, but there are three. So Gemara Eruv in New Test, the Gemara says, Shloisha Psachim, 3 entrances, and the Gemara says where they are. One is in the desert. One is in the sea. And one is in Yerushalayim. Asks the Nachlas Yaakov. Nachlas Yaakov is Nesivos HaMishpat. He has a sefer about Divrei Agada. And he says, what does that mean? Okay, so now we know it's in the desert. Can you tell me exactly where? I'd like to see where it is. What's going to help me? In the sea. It's kind of a big place. How am I going to find it? In Yerushalayim. Where? So he says, they're not telling us the address. They're sending us a message. The Gemara over there brings proofs from Psukim. The entrance of in the Midbar is because of Korach. And the Gemara says, the Pasuk in our Pasha, that they went all the way down Sheolah. Sheol is one of the names of Gehenna. In the sea, that has to do with the Pasuk from Yoina. He ran away, he's in the sea. Mimamaki Sheol Shivati, from the depth of Sheol, which is Gehenna, I'm calling to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Yerushalayim, the Gemara brings that it's all about Sinas Chinam, and Machloikes. And then it says, Nachlas Yaakov, they're not telling you the physical location. They're telling you those Averos, which are the entrances to the Gehenna. You want to go into Gehenna? Here, open the door. One door is called Machloikes, and especially Machloikes with Gdolei Ador and Rabbonim. The second door is called, you need to rebuke someone, and you stay away from it. Oh, it's nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. So you run away. And the third door, pretty big, wide one, 1957 years and change, almost 1958 years. It's called Silas China Machloikes and Loshon Hara. So if you want to avoid the Gehenna, don't just, I'm not going to go in that street because that's where the entrance is. They can get you in a different one. If you want to avoid Gehenna, avoid those 3 Averos that are the path to Gehenna. Maran Steipeler, Zatzal, Reb Chaim's father. Reb Chaim brings it in the name of his father. Used to say, don't be impressed with what other people are saying. You don't be impressed with what other people are saying. Just you do the right thing. What was the taina of the people of Korach? About Moshe, about Aaron. The pasuk in Tehillim says, "Vayekanu leMoshe." It's a Tehillim Kufvav. Vayekanu leMoshe b'machane leAaron kidosh Hashem. Look at this. It's just unbelievable. Vayekanu leMoshe. Moshe. You're such a tzaddik ador. You're mamish unbelievable. Why are you separated? B'machane, you have to be with us. Aaron. Who was Aaron? Oyev Shalom, Veroidev Shalom, always sitting with people. Aaron, Kedosh Hashem, you have to be up there, you have to be by yourself. Wait a second. Should the leaders be with you, or should the leaders be secluded by themselves? It doesn't make a difference, because people are always going to be jealous, and therefore don't be impressed with what they say. And it brings a medrash. A father and his son are walking together with their donkey in the field. They're walking, the father is riding the donkey. After a little while, this guy meets them and says, that's not nice. He says to the father, you're riding the donkey. What about your son? He has to walk. So the father says to his son, hop on. And they're both riding the donkey. I'm sorry. The father says to his son, hop on. And the father got off and he's walking. They're walking. A guy meets him and says, looks at his son and says, let's keep it up. You allow your father to walk and you're riding a donkey? That's so wrong. Yep. Okay, fine. The son jumps on the donkey, and they both riding the donkey. They're walking, meet another guy. That's just cruelty. Both of you guys and one animal? So they both got off. And they're all 3 walking together. Another guy meets them, and he says, 3 donkeys. No one's riding on each other. So at the end, the father took the donkey and put it on his shoulders. Says the stipler, don't be impressed with what people are saying. Stick to the emes. Stick to what you need to do, because that's Rotzon Hashem, and don't be impressed with what other people are saying. I think in the past we mentioned this Maaseh with Rav Wosner, but I think it's so important. And because of recent Maaseh, Minyan Deyoima, that we hear about all kinds of different machloikes, people have machloikes, not only with friends, with family, the Rabbanim, about anything that moves. Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, politics, army, whatever it is. So whoever is engaged in machloikes, slander, should really, really listen well to this Maaseh. In Eretz Yisrael, the law is that the social services of Bituach Leumi, when a person reaches the age of 100, the manager of Bituach Leumi has to go visit him. Rav Wosner Zatzal passed away at 102. When he reached the age of 100, the manager of the Bituach Leumi came to visit him with an army of photographers and reporters. You know, it sells very well in the media. So he goes inside and he needs to speak to him for a few minutes. Rav Wosner is giving a shir, and he sees a 100-year-old man giving a shir with fire, and he's writing a chidushim. He's waiting. Finally, Wosner is finished. He says to him, can I speak to the rabbi? My name is Baruch Marom, secular guy. I'm the head of Bituach Leumi, and the law is when you're 100, I have to come visit you and talk to you. How are you doing? What can we do for you? What can we help you? Can I ask you something? He says, sure. He says, yeah, this is unbelievable. I'm seeing you. I never saw anything like this. You're 100 years old. The vigor, excitement, enthusiasm, you're clear. What's your secret? How is this possible? So a person says, do you like stories? He says, I like to tell stories. Can I tell you a story? He says, okay. He says, I want to tell you what happened in the zoo. Rav Wosner, 100 years old, is telling us a Maaseh, what happened in the zoo. In the zoo. I don't know which one. Maybe the biblical one, Yerushalayim. I don't know which one. The lion, king of the animals, ate something. And it smelled, mamish, it was terrible. He didn't know what the source of the smell is. Is it his hair, his ears, his nose, his mouth? So he called over the donkey and he said, do me a favor, I'm going to open up my mouth, stick your head inside and tell me if the smell is coming from my mouth. So he opens up real big, and the donkey comes close. Dear king, it's disgusting. I can't get close. It's disgusting. And the lion starts yelling at him. This is how you speak to a king. He devours it in a few seconds. Then the king still has a problem. He has to resolve it, so he calls the sheep. Sheep, can you come for a second? The sheep comes over and says, yeah, what can I do for you? She says, listen, I have this smell. I don't know where it's coming from. Do me a favor. I'm going to open up my mouth real big. Tell me. The sheep, smart. It saw what happened 5 minutes ago to the donkey. It saw a few bones left over. So it comes close, sticks its head, says, wow, Gan Eden. Where'd you get this perfume? I wasn't like this. Is unbelievable. My king, this is unbelievable. And the lion starts yelling, you liar! What do you think I'm a fool? A chutzpah! Speak like this to a king! And he devours the sheep within 3 seconds. The king calls over, oh, the fox! Come here! The fox says, yeah. What can I do for you? He says, look, I have a problem. The smell, maybe you can help me. I'll open my mouth, come close. The fox, the wisest of the animals, he saw what happened to the donkey. He saw what happened to the sheep. He says, my dear king, I feel terrible, I'd really love to help you. I think I got a cold a few days ago. I can't smell anything. I'm so sorry. I'd love to help you. Says Rav Wosner to this man, I'm a Rav in Bnei Brak for more than 70 years. Believe me, I had so many opportunities to join all kinds of machloikis. This group tried to draft me to this agenda, and this group tried, it's a mitzvah d'oraisa l'shem shamayim. I always said, so sorry, I don't feel what to, I don't smell, I can't. Why? Because the donkey was an ish emes. It didn't help him. The sheep was smart. It didn't help him. The only thing that can help you is to run away from machlokes. So you're asking me why I'm here for so many years. I'm 100 years old because I always stay to machlokes. Once you are involved in machlokes, it's never going to help you if you're smart. If you're right, but you're in machlokes, it shortens your life. Look what happened to the donkey. Look what happened to the sheep. When you stay away from machlokes at all cost, that can prolong your life. Ve'ez asher yivchar boy yakriv elav. Reb Tzadok HaKohen of Lublin asks a shayla. Why is it that the Kohanim every single morning don't say a bracha? Baruch ata Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'asani kohen. We say shelo asani isha. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu chooses the Kohanim. Why don't they say a bracha? Thank you very much for choosing us. She'asani kohen. Why don't they say it? Says the Tzadok HaKohen and others, the Ger Rebbe and others. In the Mechilta it says that before Chet HaEgel, Klal Yisrael were supposed to be Kohanim. Ve'atem tiyu li mamleches Kohanim v'Kadosh, the entire nation. It's because of Chet HaEgel that Kodesh Baruch Hu goes to plan B, okay Kohanim, now you're in. So if the Kohen every single morning will look at Yisrael and says, She'asa ni Kohen, and not you, that doesn't work so well. You're making fun of someone else when you're saying thank you to Ribbon Shalom, that doesn't work. And more than that, this is also a promise for the future. In Mitzvah Hashem, soon. Ve'atem tiyu li mamleches kohenim will happen very soon. So you don't institute a bracha that has an expiration date. We hope and pray every single day this will end, and Klal Yisrael will be mamleches kohenim. Maybe that's why there is no bracha. Vayishlach Moshe likol et Dasan ule'aviram. They started a machlokes with him, and he calls them. That's kind of strange. More than strange, asks Chassam Sofer who gave him permission. Is he allowed to do this? Is he allowed to be moichel his kavod? What's the technical problem? What's the status of Moshe? Melech, he's a king. A Rav, a Nasi, a father, they can all be moichel their kavod. The only one that can't is the king. Melech eino moichel kavod. The Rambam explains why. Because the Melech, Libo, Liban Shel Yisrael. His heart is the heart as if it's not his heart. It's a general heart belonging to Klal Yisrael. So you can't be moichel something which doesn't belong to you. You're representing Klal Yisrael. It's not an individual assault on you. It's on Klal Yisrael. You're not allowed to be moichel. And Moshe has a status of a king. How do we know this? Zvachim Kuf Beis, the Gemara says, he had a din of a melech. Moired b'malchus, what's his punishment? Chayav Misa. We learn it from a pasuk to Yeshua. HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Yeshua and says, Kol ish asher yamre et picha, anyone who goes against you, velo yishma et varecha lechol asher tatzavenu, will not listen to whatever you command him, you must, should be put to death. Moired b'malchus. We learn in many places in Shas. Moired b'malchus, Chayav Misa. The Gemara says in Shavuos Daf Tesvav, Ein mosifim al ha'azaros, if you want to add to the azaros in Beis HaMikdash, you can only do it by a melech, and this is learned from Moshe Rabbeinu. The pasuk in V'zoi Sabacha says, Vayihi bishurud melech. Who's this melech? The Tanchuma explains that refers to Moshe Rabbeinu. The Gemara in Kiddushin Lamed Gimel Amud Beis says you have to stand when you see the Nasi. Stand up completely until he passes. We learn it from Moshe. Ask the mitzvah, and wait a second. Now you're calling him a Nasi? I thought his status is the melech. So who is Moshe? Is he a melech? And then we have a technical problem because he is not allowed to be moichel his kavod, or he is just a Nasi, because a Nasi is allowed to be moichel his kavod. So he answers that according to the Tanchuma, it seems that Moshe didn't have a status of a melech until they received the second set of tablets. There is a machlokes because from Shavuos Tesvav Amud Aleph it implies differently. But Shalosh Tshuva's Divrei Malkiel answers our question, and he says the malchus of Moshe is different than a regular melech. Moshe was appointed by whom? Kodesh Baruch Hu himself. When a Kodesh Baruch Hu appoints you to a melech, you are allowed to be moichel your kavod, and he did that. Moshe was moichel his kavod with a ma'aseh with Eldad and Meidad. So Mele Moshe's status is a melech, but at a different type of malchus, and therefore he's allowed to be moichel his kavod. Igros Moshe also writes that he had a status called like a melech. He's not a mamish full-fledged melech. With all intents and purposes, the melech is not allowed to be moichel his kavod. Moshe was allowed to. Sanhedrin Daf Tzadi we learn, Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek l'olam habo, but people forget to mention the latter part of the Mishnah. Kol Yisrael yesh lahem chelek l'olam habo. Everybody in Klal Yisrael has a certain one to come except Ve'elu she'en lahem chelek, and these guys don't have, and there's the list. One of these lucky guys is the Apikoros. What's the definition of the Apikoros? The Gemara, 9 pages later, in Tzadites, Amud Aleph, Darshans, and the Gemara, Tzadites Amud Beis, and the Gemara says Apikoros is Hamevaze Talmidei Chachamim. He goes against Talmidei Chachamim, and this has to do with what we mentioned before, people who have issues with different Rabbanim. It's not that they have an issue with Machloikis, it's called an Apikoros. Apikoros doesn't have a chelek la'olam haba. Who wants to go there? If 2 witnesses come and testify that this guy is a Mevazeh Talmidei Chachamim, they give him nidui and a major knas. So much so, Chazal say about a person who's Mevazeh Talmidei Chachamim, Shabbos Kuf Yutes Amud Beis, Kol ha-Mevazeh Talmidei Chachamim, ein refuah lemakasoi. There is no medicine that can assist him. But why is that? Because in Barabasa Kuf Tezayin Amud Aleph, Chazal say, if you have a sick person in your house, what should you do? Go to Talmid Chochem. Talmid Chochem will daven for you. But when a person is Mevazeh Talmid Chachamim, he says, Talmid Chochem, how can he help me? He's not even a Talmid Chochem. So of course he can help me with my whatever problem I'm having. Mimele kol Mevazeh Talmidei Chachamim, since the refuah is found by the Talmid Chochem that you should go to, but he's not going to Talmid Chochem, he's making fun of the Talmid Chochem, Mimele en refuah lemakaso. Which leads us to ask a question. Some guys Friday night are sitting together and schmoozing and having some cholent and beer. And Reuven says to his friend, you know, this Rav, he's a giant. He's just like this Rav. Giant of all giants. Shimon says, whoa. Amavdil ben kodesh lechoil. Is that considered a mevazeh talmidei chachamim? You see the implication. Apikoros, en lo chelek la'olam haba, nidui, penalty, en refuah lemakaso, mistam there's a few more chazals. Amavdil ben kodesh lechoil. This is kodesh. This is choil. Is that called mevazeh talmidei chachamim? Nafkamina, he has to do tshuva. If you tell me it's not a problem, he doesn't have to do tshuva. He said about there's Rabbi A and Rabbi B.
Yes.
So Reuven says, oh, they're so great, both of them. And his friend says, you're equating them? You're comparing these guys? So Mavdil ben Kodesh lechoil. I don't know who's choil and who's Kodesh, A or B, I wasn't there. But to say such a thing about a Rav, is that considered bizui talmidei chachamim? Rabbi Yisrael, what do you say?
Yeah.
You want to say yeah without any sources? Look at the implication that if you're saying yes and we'll accept it, we have a serious problem with this guy. He has to do tshuva, he's a pikores, elo chelek lo'olam haba, nidui, knas, no healing for his man. Okay, yep.
Chuck the answer.
We chucked the answer, so we're back to square one. Shimon Rabbi Yisrael Dayanim Mumchim, is he called a mevazeh talmidei chachamim or not?
No.
Why not?
He's equating them, but not equating them. That means he's showing the fact that they are Talmidei Chachamim. One is a greater one than the other. I mean,
That's if you would say, Hamavdil ben Kodesh Kodashim leKodesh. Kodesh and Chol. I don't know, it doesn't sound like he's equating them and they're both Talmidei Chachamim. Chol?
One could be greater in a certain way, in a certain.
Kodesh Senior, Kodesh Junior, Kodesh A, Kodesh B, but he said Kodesh and Chol.
There's no source that said that we are compared to Tanaim, etc., that we are like
Donkeys.
Right. So that's
It's true.
That's whole versus
We, all of us, compared to, you're comparing two people who are alive today, two Rabbonim, that you know, Kodesh and Chol.
Maybe it's like Leshon Guzma, like you said, they don't cancel them as brothers.
I'll accept that 100%. If you have a source, I'll accept it if you have a source. Im Kabbalah nekabel, im Ladin yes tshuva. Kodesh and Chol is Guzma. Exaggeration. If you have a source, no problem.
The 7 days, 6 days, we still,
Chol. That's exactly what I was trying to say. That's Chol. That's Kedusha. This Rav has Kedusha. This guy has zero Kedusha.
No, Chol doesn't mean that. Chol doesn't mean.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Chol just puts it in a different category, a lower category.
I hear what you're saying. Excellent, like him. You have a source? Because if not, I'll give you a source, because you're both right. Bab Metzia. This shayla is not my shayla. It's a shayla found in the Rishonim. Ma'ari Broina, it's one of the Rishonim, Simen Kuf Peites, he brings a shayla. Ma'ise bebachurim, two young guys were sitting, and one of them said about the Rav, Mavdil Kodesh Lechol. So he was asked, is this considered Mevazet Tamid Chachamim? He says no. What's his raya? He can't just say no because I feel like it. He brings a raya from Gemore. What is the Gemore? Bab Metzia Pei Dalet. Amud Beis. The Gemore says, Rebbe Lazar Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai has a son, his name is Rebbe Lazar. One of the Tanaim. He died. Reb Yehuda Anasi. Do you have anybody greater than Reb Yehuda Anasi? We're not familiar. He wants to marry the widow. Rebbe Lazar Bar Reb Shimon's ex-wife. She's a widow now. He sends her a messenger, I'd like to marry you. She sends him a message back. Kli shenishtamesh bo kodesh, yishtamesh bo chol? A vessel, she's talking about herself. A vessel that was used by a sacred individual, Rebbe Elazar bar Shimon, now should be used by a person who's profane? Rebbe Yehuda Anasi? Says Mari Bona, do you think she was trying to be mevazeh? Rebbe Yehuda Anasi, chas v'sholom. She was using it as a mashal. Like you said, it's a mashal. Just like a vessel that was used for Kodesh cannot be used by Chol, so too I don't want to marry. I'm not saying who's greater than who, but it's separate things that cannot be used. And he proves it from the continuation of the Gemara. She sent him another message saying, in Eretz Yisrael, they used to say a mashal about this. In the location in the house where the master of the house puts his sword, the contemptible shepherd will hang his basket. So you're thinking that she called Reb Yehuda Anasi contemptible shepherd? That means he's disqualified the Eidus. He's a Rasha. Of course he wouldn't do that. It's just a mashal. And therefore he says it's not Bizui Talmid Chachamim. Comes Shal Shuvas Afarkasta de Anya. And he challenges Mari Boina. Mari Boina is a Rishon. Afarkasta de Anya is one of the later Achronim. And he says, I don't understand you. You're exempting this guy because of this Gemara. But you rejected this Gemara. Because you said that this is only a mashal. So you're left, you're going back to square one. If he said it not as a mashal, as this guy did it, lichoyra should be chayav. But we still do have the Ma'ari Boina. Sefer Yefel Alev, that's Reb Chaim Palagi's son, brings from a sefer called Toldos Chachmei Yisrael. The Ritva. What was the name, first name of Ritva? Ritva. Yom Tov. The Ritva wanted to marry the wife of the Magid Mishneh, Mat Rabbi Vidal di Toluza on the Rambam. There's another Magid Mishneh. There's many Magid Mishnehs. This Magid Mishneh's first name was also Yom Tov, and he died. So the Ritva sends a message to the wife, the widow of the Magid Mishneh, Rabbi Yom Tov, Zatzal, I'd like to marry you. She sends him back a message. Ritva, Rabbi, don't you know? Beitza Vav Amud Aleph, Chazal say, Yom Tov Sheni, Gab Yom Tov Rishon, Shavinu Rabbanon Kechol. Chazal use a language. Yom Tov Sheni, in other words, you, Ritva, your name is Yom Tov. You're going to be the second Yom Tov that I have. Compared to the first Yom Tov, my late Rabbi, it's Kechol Shavinu Rabbanon. Chazal says it's like a Yom Chol. Which is the same thing that the wife of Elazar of Shimon said to Yehuda Anasi, Pile Ploy. What's that? Now I'm not so sure that he wants. She's gonna, every time she says something, she's gonna bring all kinds of sources to refute it. I'm not so sure he wants to marry anymore. What was the biggest miracle in the whole Maaseh with Korach? The earth opens up, they're swallowed. Wow, gigantic. But there's something bigger than that. And that's the end of the Maaseh. The passage says, "Vayerdu hem v'chol asher lahem chaim she'ola." They went down. But then the passage continues and says, "V'techas aleihem haaretz." The land suddenly covered up. Why is this important? Because the scoffers and the skeptics could have said, Moshe was an expert in creating massive explosions. He created such a big one that caused a crack and a collapse in the ground. What do you want? But did you ever see an explosion that causes a big crater and then it closes up? That's impossible. So the fact that afterwards it covered them and closed back exactly to the way it was, lichoya, that's a bigger miracle than the opening. Because the opening we saw, we heard. In history there were cases like that. Not the way this happened, especially according to the Mabi, maybe we mentioned in the past. But the fact that after the full fact, it closes up, that lichoya is the biggest miracle because that doesn't happen. After the ground opens up, it doesn't close itself back up. Right. It's as if there was a gezerah, this is going to happen, and it was executed many, many years later. But then there's a bigger miracle that then it closes back in. Moshe was an Anav 2 weeks ago, a pretty big one, right? Vaish Moshe Anav Mikola, the biggest Anav in the world. So why can't you be Moichel? Be Moichel Korach. You Moichel everything else. You have no personal kavod. So be Moichel. We said that he can be because he's not a real king. As not a real king, you can be Moichel. And if you tell from Shemaim no, so daven for it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I really want to be Moichel. My claim to fame is I'm an Anav. 3 questions. Why wasn't he Moichel? Why didn't we daven for Korach? You don't want to be Moichel, don't Moichel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, allow them to see the light, to have clarity, to do tshuva, to come to me and... why didn't he daven for Korach in his congregation? And the biggest question, how can Korach ever be punished if there's no warning? We have a rule. In Onshin, Elim Ken Mazirin, you don't punish. Would you ever punish your kid if you never warned him not to do something? No. So if Korach was never warned, Korach, stay away from this, how can you punish him? Rav lachem bnei Levi madua tisnasu al kal Hashem. Korach says to Moshe, what do you guys want? You want everything to yourselves? So warn him, or the Torah should warn everybody collectively earlier, and now you can do whatever you want to him. But if you never warned him, how are you going to punish him? 3 major questions. Reb Shloime Kluger in Ha'elef Lecha Shloime in Chelek Yoredei Reish Nun Gimel asks, and Reb Shloime Kluger is always very, very original, big mechadesh, and he says fascinating thing. He is writing a tshuva about kicking out a rabbi from his position. We're not crazy about this rabbi. Can we kick him out and get somebody else a little better instead? Says Reb Shlomo Kluger. He brings the Rambam in Moreh Nevuchim. And the Rambam says over there that the pasuk in Parshas Mishpatim that says, Hine anochi sholeach malach lefonecha. Al tamer bo, do not rebel against him. Ki lo yisa lepisheichem. Because he won't forgive your transgression. You know why? Ki shmi bekirboy. For my name is within him. The Rambam says this is talking about every Rav in our generation, every single generation. You'll have Rabbanim. You'll have people who will direct you what to do. This pasuk is not talking about back then when they were in the desert. He's talking about Rav in every single generation. So he says, what does it mean? Al tamer bo. We normally understand it. Don't rebel against him. Tamer, the Medrash Darshan is the lashon of temura. What is temura? You have an animal which you consecrated for a korban. You say, I'd like a different animal. So you want to switch the kedusha from animal A and put it on animal B. That doesn't work. And the Torah says, don't do it. Al tamer bo. Al tamer bo means don't make your rabbi temura. That rabbi is now in a position of chashivus, and you say, we want to demote you. I'll get your kedusha and your position and we'll give it to someone else. Al tamer bo, the pasuk warns you. So don't say there was no warning. There was a warning collectively to Klal Yisrael. This is 2 Kumashim ago in Parshas Mishpatim, in Chumash Shebois. Al tamer boy. So says Rabbi Shlomo Kluger, what's going on behind the scenes here? HaKadosh Baruch Hu equated his honor to the honor of Talmid Chochem. Es Hashem Elokecha tira, fear HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Chazal Darshan, what is this et doing here? Es always comes to include, to be merabet, to add, to increase. Es lerabois, Talmidei Chachamim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu equates his own honor and the love that we have supposed to have to Rebbeinu Shalom to the love of Talmidei Chachamim. Ve'alta es Hashem Elokecha. Tira is the same thing. Mimele. What happens when you do tumura to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? That's called Avodah Zorah. Says Reb Shlomo Kluger, when you chose a Rav and you want to kick him out, it's considered Avodah Zorah. Serving idols. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the Rav are equal, and you're not allowed to switch HaKadosh Baruch Hu to a different God, Chas v'Sholom, because that's called Avodah Zorah. Switching the Rav, whose honor is equated to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it will be considered as if serving Avodah Zorah. Not to be believed. That's why the pasuk continues and says, Hishamer mipanav ushma bekoilo. Listen to him, to whom? To the Rav. Al tamer bo. Don't do tmura to choose someone else. Ki lo yisa lepishechem. He won't be able to forgive you. Even though Mistama is an Anav, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is also an Anav. The Rav you picked is also probably an Anav. he won't forgive you. Why? Kishmi bekirbo, because my name is in him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is moichel v'solech. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very anav. It's a big anav, he's moichel. But there's one thing he's not moichel. And what is that? Avodah Zarah. Ki Hashem Elokecha esh oichla kel kana. He does not moichel Avodah Zarah. And if my name, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is in the Rav, so when you're doing something which is compared to Avodah Zarah, he has to walk in my ways. And normally he has to forgive just like me. But when you're serving Avodah Zarah, he's not allowed to forgive just like me. I don't forgive Avodah Zarah. He should not forgive Avodah Zarah. And this was the warning to Korach, his congregation, and anyone who wants to follow suit. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu was not allowed to forgive Korach. He wasn't allowed to daven for them. Because if HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm a big honor, but I don't forgive Avodah Zarah. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, okay, that's you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but I'm going to forgive and I'm going to daven. Oh, so you're a bigger tzaddik than HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Big problem. So it's a technical problem. Moshe is a catch-22. What do I do? He didn't know what to do. Mimele, he says, that's why the passage says, Vayipol al panav. Rashi over there is like pushed to the corner. Why didn't they daven? So I tell you why. He didn't know what to do. He wants to daven. He really wants to, but he can't. If he is not going to be moichel, they're going to be punished. If he's going to be moichel, he is saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm a little bigger tzaddik than you. Moshe is stuck, and therefore he just fell down and didn't do anything. If they would come and they would do tshuva, he can forgive. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu would also forgive if you do tshuva. But just to be moichel, my honor, when a person does avoid the Zarah, that I can't do. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu is stuck. And that's why he couldn't down for them. And that's where the warning to Korach was. And I think that's Pile Ploim for Chiddush.
Ekel HaZahav was not tzad avodah zarah there? And then Moshe Rabbeinu prayed.
Yeah. He prays when we do tshuva. When we do tshuva, Kodesh Baruch Hu forgives everything. But just to be moichel, Korach made a mistake. Tomorrow we'll teach him it's not right. That you can't do.
Before he prayed, or did he tshuva after he...
Mistama, they all do tshuva immediately. And Moshe says to Kodesh Baruch Hu, please. Korach gives a chance to speak about chutzpahdik people. Listen to this, Maisen. The bank opens up at 9 a.m. 10 minutes before, there are already 9 people standing there online, quietly, nice space between each other. This chutzpahdik guy comes, big guy, young guy. And he passes everybody, stands right in front of the door. Chutzpah. Excuse me, don't you see this line here? He totally ignores them. Excuse me. You're not going to start with this big guy. 9 a.m., doors open up. Everybody storms in. 3 tellers are working. This guy, chutzpahnik, he just walks to the first teller. The other guys also go, and more people come into the bank. This guy fell on a nightmare teller, the guy that you really, really don't want. He is slow, and his papers keep falling from his desk. Oh, wait a second, I can't start my day without my morning coffee. Just wait a second, I'll be right back. His computer is stuck. Just wait a second. This guy is going crazy already. After 15 minutes that he's sitting with this guy who's not really helping him, all the first 9 guys already left the bank. He says, I had it with him. He gets up and he goes to the next teller and he sits there. The slow teller comes and he says to him, I want to tell you something. I think this happened to you from Shemaim. He said, what happened to me from Shemaim? That you fell on me as your teller. He says, what do you mean? He says, you should know, I'm not slow. I'm actually the fastest teller here. My computer, they just got me last week a new one. I hate coffee. I'm very organized. But I saw with the cameras exactly what you were doing 5 minutes before we opened the bank. And I decided I'm going to teach you a lesson. Now this teller comes and asks, did I do right? Did I have permission to do this? Shkoyach. He told him, gewaldig. Revenge, punishment, beautiful. But what about all the guys that are now waiting for 15 minutes, you're holding back people? No shaykhs to this. Who gave you permission to hold back people because you want to teach somebody a lesson? Does he have the right to do so? Is this recommended? Is that hechsher? No hechsher? How do we look at this? Never happened to you before? What do you say? That usually doesn't stop you. At least give us a direction. Rabbi Isa, you're allowed to or not? Wouldn't you love to do this once? Yeah.
Even though even though he's kind of...
I'm not in the revenge business. I'm in the education business. I'm an educator. I'm teaching him Malay. He's never going to do this again. At least here, when I'm working here.
It's not his job.
It's not his job.
He doesn't know what his circumstances were. He doesn't know the whole picture.
He heard the yelling, excuse me! Ignore. Do you need to know what the circumstances are? When the guy doesn't explain himself?
Sure, maybe he's deaf. Could be a million reasons.
So deaf people are also blind? You're saying he's blind and deaf?
Maybe.
He has the teller has an obligation of doing a job, so it's kind of stealing from the employer by...
Saying you're stealing from his employer. It's not only that you're holding back the innocent new customers that came in. The 9 guys before, Mistama, they'll be very happy. And they'd be willing to delay to teach this guy a lesson. Maybe, I'm not so sure. But the new guys have no idea why you're holding them back. You're saying, also, what about my employer? Is there any justification to hold back people because you want to do justice?
In the bank, the problem I see with the bank is that he should have stepped up when he saw him butting as opposed to watching it on camera and letting it happen. He should have came out and made the rule.
I'm not a policeman. And maybe if I go out of the bank, the guy's gonna punch me. Who knows? Here he needs my service inside the bank. But I'm afraid of him. He's a big guy.
Okay. There is a positive that he explained to him that what he did to him. If he kept it secret, that could have been a problem.
So if you explain afterwards, so you have a permission to hold back people?
I don't know about permission, but
But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for permission. If not, all the explanations are not going to help you.
Maybe it has a general application, like I've heard, where there's a cause and it affects a lot of people. So hold that you can make a demonstration, even though it's going to block people traveling to Khalil, parents to schools and this kind of thing.
That's when Gedolei Ador give you the heter to do that. You don't take that heter on your own.
Well, I mean, isn't it the same kind of thing in a sense?
Did he call one of his rabbi? He decided this is the right thing to do, and I can hold everybody back who gave him permission.
Sounds like Gnevas Das.
What's the Gnevas Das?
Pretended.
With that, I don't have a problem. He pretended to be slow. You're allowed to pretend to be slow in order to teach a lesson if we will say that you are allowed to teach a lesson in this manner by holding back everybody else. Like Gnevas Das, I don't have an issue with. You like it or not? I know, but what do we do with this?
I think if the other people, I know it's a different in regard to the other people who are stealing online, but if they realize the fact that this person really deserves to be
Punished.
There's no question about it. I mean, he did a terrible thing. If people in the background understood, I think they would.
But they don't understand. They have no idea. Nobody knows what's going on.
Is this similar to Rachel? Rachel Leah?
The what?
She gives the simanim to Leah. So Maisa, she came at the time to Yaakov and she said, you have the chiyuv on you as well. Meaning everyone there has a chiyuv to make sure this person doesn't behave this way. Happens to be, I was the position.
Where is a person holding back a tzibur in that Maisa? That's my shadow. That's my problem. You're holding back people at their time who gave you the right to be at tzaddik on the cheshbon of somebody else. That's my shadow.
It's not that I'm a tzaddik, it's that every other person has the chiyuv.
A chiyuv to be responsible here.
Responsible for this.
I love this. You have a source?
I just told you.
I'm telling you. Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim Siman Nun Dalet Seif Gimel. Shulchan Aruch. Are you allowed to speak after Psukei de Zimra before we start Yotzei Or? We just finished part A. Psukei de Zimra. Gevaldi Kaddish. Amen, amen, amen. We're about to start second phase of davening called Yotzei Or. You allowed to speak now? No. How bad is it to speak now? No big deal, right? If you're a soldier, we send you back. We don't want soldiers like you. When the Kohen says, hey guys, anybody, any Avera, before you go to war, I once I said something. No, can you prove it? I said something. What? You think you can fight for us? Get out of here. We don't want soldiers like you. Whoa, what an Avera. It's a terrible Avera. Pretty big. Yet, says the Shulchan Aruch, Yesh mi she'omer, some say, that for tzorchei tzibur or tzedakah, you're allowed to be mafsik. Continues the Rema and says, and from this, umizeh nispashet, ma shenahagu beharbe mekoymes, the minhag in many places, לקבול בבייס הכנסת שיעשה לו דין בין ישתבח ליוצר שכל זה נחשב למצווה. What is he talking about? Reuven has a problem with Shimon. He can't resolve it. He can't go to Beis Din for whatever reason. Beis Din are not helping. The only way is to ask the people who are present here in Shul after Yishtabach, everybody is here. Listen, maybe some of you can help me figure out what to do with this. Maybe together we can do something. Maybe you know what? Help me out. It's called a mitzvah. And you're allowed to hold. Why are you holding me back? I don't know this Shimon that you have a problem with, and I'm standing all the way back. Why are you holding me back? I want to daven. I want to go about my day. Says the Rema, from here is the minhag that is in many places. You're allowed to do this. Lichora, you see from this Rema that one is allowed to, I don't want to say take revenge, but to do something, to seek justice on the account of other people and to hold them back, causing a tircha de tzibura. I think that's what we can learn from this Rema. However, this guy's a little different. You're not the bank manager. You were hired to do something. And if you don't do that, you're a thief. More than being a thief towards your employer. What about all the guys that are waiting? This is a hefsed mammon you're causing them. The guys in the shul that the Rama allowed you to hold back, you're not causing them a hefsed mammon, they can just leave. But the guy standing in the bank, in the middle of his day, he has a million things that he's involved with. Who said that from this Rama you can also see that you are able to cause people hefsed mammon? You're causing them a loss. Time is money. I'm in business. I have to sign this thing in the bank before 10 a.m. Otherwise, I'm losing my whole deal. Who gave you permission to do that? I'm not so sure that the Rema allows you to do this. I'm not sure that the new guys that came in are interested in this. It's not their problem. So if this teller gets permission from the manager, no problem. If he himself is the manager of the bank, it's his place, no problem. But as a person that just works there, I don't think we can deduce this from the Rema, and I don't think you would be allowed to do this.
People in Shul, they're on their way to the bank.
Yeah, but they can leave. They can leave. They can leave. A bank, I'm in a business transaction. I have to sign right now. I'm losing $2 million if I don't sign by 10 a.m. Do you want to sponsor that? You're not going to. This is a hefsed mammon. Shul, it's terrible that you're causing me to leave, but it's not a hefsed mammon. And if I want, I can leave. Here, I can't leave. The bank told me if I'm not here by a certain time, I'm finished. Who says you can cause a hefsed mammon? I'm not so sure you can do that. If you're the bank manager, no problem. If you ask permission from the bank manager, gewaldig. But since he didn't, lichoira, he shouldn't be doing it on the account of other people. Boisai, if you only came to hear this last piece, I think it was Kedai. A Chiddush from the land of Chidushim. The land of the Chidushim. It's a very good land to visit. Kasher diber Hashem el Moshe. Is that what the Pasuk says? Yud Zayin Pasuk Hey. No. Kasher diber Hashem beyad Moshe loy. Hashem Baruch Hu speaks to his hand? Strange. Pinchas, few weeks. Kasher diber Hashem beyad Moshe. Why you keep speaking to his hand? Speak to the man. Kasher diber Hashem le Moshe el Moshe, not beyad Moshe. You don't speak normally to people's hands. What does this mean, to speak to Moshe's hand? Never bothered you when you think Shamika v'chatavu? Comes the Ohev Yisrael. He brings from Tikkun Zohar, in Tikkun Ayin, Daf Kuf Lamed Beis Amud Beis. Everything that one does makes an impression on his hands. All kinds of lines on one's hands. Moshe Rabbeinu had such purification of his body that the entire Torah was written on his hands. Torah shebichsav, Torah shebe'al peh. And if Klal Yisrael would not sin in Chet HaEgel, Moshe Rabbeinu would not need to receive the tablets. Because on both his hands, the entire Torah would be written. That's what it means, Kasher Diber Hashem, to the hand of Moshe, beyond Moshe. Because everything that Kosh Baruch Hu spoke was written on Moshe's hands. And if the Torah would be written on Moshe's hands, the Sitra Acha, Satan, wouldn't have any koyach in this world. And that's what the Pasuk in Beshalach says. Yedei Moshe kvedim. The hands of Moshe became very heavy. Vayikhu even vayasimu. What does the word tachtav means? Instead. In other words, we take even, we took a stone, the luchos, to replace Moshe's hands. We understand it normally to mean they took a stone under, tachtav, under, so he can rest. He got very tired. No, tachtav means instead. I don't need your hands anymore. I got a stone instead. V'ayu yadav emuna ad bo hashemesh. Shemesh is always a reference to Mashiach. Te'ilim ayin beis lifnei shemesh yinon shemo. That's a reference to Mashiach. And when Mashiach will come, the entire Torah will be written again, Yimitz Hashem, on Moshe's hands. Sefer Atzei Levanon brings in the name of the Rebbe of Lublin. He brings a medrash. The hands of Moshe were supposed to be the two luchos. But since HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew that ultimately these luchos will be smashed, he says, Moshe's hands, I don't want to destroy his hands. They were dear to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore he replaced them with a stone. Where is this says so in the Torah? Torah says so. The passage we quoted, V'idei Moshe kvedim. What is kaved? Heavy, literally. But the Targum for some reason doesn't write kvedim in Aramaic. It says yakran, yakar, dear. Yedei Moshe, the hands of Moshe were very dear to Kodesh Baruch Hu. He says, what a shame. Ultimately, it's going to be broken, the tablets. So these are going to be the tablets. I'll break Moshe's hands. Let's keep your hands. And Tachtav will bring instead the luchos, the stone. And that, I don't mind. That you can smash. This medrash that they're bringing, we don't know where it is, but the first time we do see a mention of this is the Rema Mipano, Reb Menachem Azaria of Pano, the great Mekubal by 500 years ago, in his Sefer Asara Ma'amaros. He brings that if we didn't sin in Chet HaEgel, the luchos would not be stored away. Rather, the hands of Moshe would become tashmishei kedusha, and he would carry them forever. Yimitz Hashem, coming soon to a place near you. Bekaro b'yameinu v'noima. Amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.